Give me the next few minutes and I guarantee you will learn something that will help you skyrocket your Google Ads return on ad spend. I know this because I've been running a specialized Google Ads agency for 12 years where we've spent 8 figures in ad spend and generated over $150 million in revenue for our clients. So spend the next few minutes with me and I will distill all my learnings into the top 10 strategies you need to use if you're wanting to scale your ROAS profitably on Google Ads. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is to make sure that you are structuring your shopping and or performance max campaigns properly. Now, what I've got over here is one of our favorite best performing structures at the moment, and we're using this on a lot of our client accounts. But it's important to note that this is not a one size fits all. So I'm going to take you through one of our best performing structures right now, but it might not work for you, and you really got to find the structure that works properly for your account. Now, if you want a deep dive video on that exact topic where I dive into the 3 best structures you can use for shopping and performance max, I'm going to put my deep dive video in the links below so you can dive into that in more detail if you want. But for now, our best performing structure across a lot of client accounts right now is to either focus on standard shopping or performance max as the main volume driver, and then that decision comes down to a few different variables which is dependent on the account. But what we do that's working really well is have what we call a performance-based campaign segmentation. So what does that look like? In one campaign, we have the high spend products and the high ROAS products. And then in the next campaign, we have high spend and low ROAS products. So you want to create a threshold for spend and a threshold for ROAS. And if products are above that spend threshold and above that ROAS threshold, you put it into this campaign here. It's your most profitable campaign. And the goal with that campaign is just to try and spend more and get more spend on these really good performing products. And then you've got your high spend and low ROAS products. And with the spend threshold, you don't need to set it super high. We might use something like $100 past 60 days for our spend threshold. And then high spend will be whatever's above that spend threshold. Low spend will be whatever's below that threshold. The ROAS threshold, maybe it's 400%. So if it's above $100 spend and above 400% ROAS, it goes into this campaign here. If it's above $100 spend and below 400% ROAS, it goes into this campaign here. Now, you do need to set these thresholds specific to your account. Don't just copy my thresholds that I've said there. We use different thresholds depending on the client account. But once you've got those thresholds, you can segment it like this. With your low ROAS products, instead of trying to spend more, you actually want to spend less. You reduce the spend and increase the ROAS on these products. So that's why they want to be segmented into their own campaign. And then you've got a separate campaign for low spend products. And the idea of this campaign is, they didn't meet the spend threshold. So we're not going to segment them by ROAS, because when it hasn't even met the spend threshold and it's low spend, then we can't really say we've got significant data on these products. We don't really know if they are high ROAS or low ROAS. Any ROAS results we're getting on these products is probably just random, right? Because the spend is too low that the data isn't significant yet. So the goal of this campaign then is just to get these products spending a little bit more so that we can eventually graduate them into either the high ROAS or the low ROAS products campaign. And then we've got what we call the zombies campaign. So these are zero spend products, and this happens on a lot of e-commerce stores. If you've got a lot of products, like more than 100, if you've got thousands of products, if you look through your actual campaign performance at the product level, you're probably going to see hundreds, if not thousands of products where they just don't spend at all, right? We call these zombie products. Google hasn't tested these products at all. And oftentimes that's because you've lumped them in with hundreds of other products in the same campaign. So the idea here is we break them out to their own campaign, and we're probably going to run like maximize conversions or maximize conversion value as the bid strategy here. We're going to keep the budget fairly limited, but big enough that we can actually get some spend onto these products. And then the whole goal of this campaign, the zombies campaign, is just to get these products spending anything, right? Get some testing done, please, Google. And then once they have spent something, they'll be graduated into the low spend products campaign. And once they're in the low spend products campaign, the idea is to spend enough that they graduate into one of the high spend campaigns. So this structure works really well across a lot of e-commerce accounts right now. But if you want a deep dive on this topic, link in the video below. Okay, number 2. You got to understand conversion thresholds. So many people get this wrong. Now, generally speaking, if you just like one really easy rule of thumb, go for 50 plus conversions per campaign per month, right? If you just want one number to think about. Now, really, it's not as simple as just one number. And to give you an idea, we've got this table here. It's more like a sliding scale where the more conversions you get, the lower your fluctuation and the lower your learning period. So if you're at like 30 conversions past 30 days in the campaign, you might have medium or even high CPA or ROAS fluctuation, and your learning period is going to be pretty slow. You're going to have to wait like 2 months or so just to get enough data so that you can actually see what your performance is like. Once you get up to around 60, then your CPA fluctuation or your ROAS fluctuation will be medium. Your learning period will be medium. Once you get to 100, low fluctuation, fast learning. And then if you're at 500 plus conversions per campaign per 30 days, you're going to have very low fluctuation. Things are going to be pretty stable, and you're going to have very fast learning periods. So one thing you want to do and think about is, it's all well and good running these campaign structures where you segment out all the products, or maybe you segment out like categories and then performance-based campaigns. But if you structure it and then you start seeing campaigns that are only getting a handful of conversions every 30 days, well, then you're going to get a lot of CPA fluctuation. You're going to have slow learning periods. So if that's you, I would just consolidate. So if you've chosen a structure where campaigns now get very few conversions per 30 days, consolidate into fewer campaigns so that you can have more conversions per campaign per 30 days. And whenever you look at something with low conversion volume, right? Like let's say you're looking at the past 3 days of data, or you're looking at an individual product within your shopping campaign, and you see the ROAS is really bad, right? I want you to get out of the habit of just straight away saying this ROAS is bad. No, you have to say, I don't know if the data is low. So if you're looking at a product and its ROAS is like 50%, terrible. But then you look at the spend and the conversions and it's only spent $50 and it's only got one conversion, then you can't say the ROAS is bad. You have to say, I don't know. I don't know if the ROAS is bad or good. I don't have enough data. Let's try and collect some more data so that I can actually be confident in understanding whether the ROAS is good or bad on this product, on this campaign, or whatever thing you're looking at when you see that performance. So understand conversion thresholds. Number 3. Use target ROAS, but do it correctly. So target ROAS as your bid strategy is going to be the best choice in 95% of the times when it comes to e-commerce advertisers, right? So you generally want to be on target ROAS. If you're running other bid strategies right now and you've got plenty of conversions in the account, you probably just want to switch over to target ROAS and to run it properly for better performance. Plenty of conversions is needed for this. Other bid strategies do have their place, but usually as a warm-up. Like I'm quite happy using maximize clicks in some cases, maximize conversions, maximize conversion value. But when I use those bid strategies, I'm generally thinking this is my warm-up strategy, and when I've got enough conversions, we're going to go over to target ROAS. Okay, number 4 on my list, you need to know when to be patient. Like for example, target ROAS, it's going to optimize for whatever ROAS target you set it, but over a longer time frame. Like if you set target ROAS 400%, you're not going to see 400% ROAS every single day. There's going to be lots of fluctuation. You need to judge the performance over a longer time frame. So you need to know when to be patient. Sometimes just looking at the past few days of data doesn't quite cut it. And oftentimes, if what you're trying to do is judge whether target ROAS is working for you or not, oftentimes you're going to need to look at 30 days of data, right? Like 1 day, 1 week, when you look at those shorter time frames, the ROAS will be volatile. And when the ROAS is down, the system sees that and it automatically optimizes to bring the ROAS up the next day or the next week and try and bring in your average ROAS over a 30-day period. So you really need to look at 30-day periods with plenty of conversions when you're judging the overall performance, especially if you're trying to judge if target ROAS is working well enough for you or not. So like when you see those fluctuations, it doesn't mean target ROAS is not working. You got to sort of widen your time frame and know when to be patient, because oftentimes target ROAS will sort itself out. It's designed to do that. Okay, number 5, your product feed is key. So e-commerce Google Ads relies primarily on shopping. Like you're probably going to be getting 60, 70, 80, 90% of your traffic from Google Ads is probably going to be coming from shopping ads. Even if you're running Performance Max is going to be focusing mostly on shopping ads. So knowing this, you need to know where to focus when you want to improve your shopping ads, and the place to focus is your product feed. Shopping relies on your product feed, so optimizing your product feed and making it better is equivalent to optimizing your shopping ads campaign, and optimizing your shopping ads campaign is probably the most important thing to do if you're running e-commerce Google ads, because that's where the money's at. And then once again, just knowing where to prioritize. Once you're looking at your product feed, you want to prioritize these fields. So first up, price. I mean, this is one of the most important determining factors in whether you're going to show up position 1 or position 10 in the shopping results, right? Now, not everyone is going to have the flexibility and the freedom to optimize your price, but if you can optimize your price, if you can like run a test where you try doing 5% cheaper and then run another test where you try doing 5% more expensive, these little tweaks can often create outsized rewards, right? Like cheaper price will often get you a lot more traffic, enough traffic that it offsets the lower price, right? Google Shopping is basically like a price comparison engine, and it's very sensitive to price. Now, you might not be able to modify your price all that much, or you might not want to test it. So the next thing down would be your titles. That's the next most important thing to optimize. Make them full and rich and full of keywords. Then you've got your images. Now, titles mostly help with discovery. The more keywords you get in there, the more keywords you target, and the more discovery you can trigger through Google Ads. Image, on the other hand, is super important as well. Next on the list after title. Image is more about click-through rate, though. So, like having a good image doesn't necessarily get you discovered more, but it raises the click-through rate of your ads once you have been discovered. The next best thing you want to focus on is your reviews and shipping. So if you've got a good shipping deal, if you've got free shipping, make sure that's showing on your ads, and make sure you're collecting reviews and you're feeding your product feed, or you're feeding your review feed into Google Merchant Center so that the reviews on your products are showing up in Google Shopping. And then after that, you've got your descriptions and then what I call data completeness. Basically, after these 4 things, the next most important thing is just everything else in your feed. So you've got your descriptions, your product highlight, your product type, your product category, all the optional fields like, size, color, weight. You just want to fill all of those in so that your data feed is as complete and as keyword rich as possible. Definitely do that, but do these things first because they're more important. Hey guys and girls, before I move on to my next strategy, I just want to let you know that if you're totally stuck with Google Ads and in need of a team of pros to help scale you to the next level, then check the link in the description below this video. You'll be able to book in a call with me personally, and together we'll see if my team can help you get results like we did for this client, where we scaled them to $1.46 million in monthly revenue, or maybe like this client where we got a 350% increase in their revenue. So if you're bashing your head against a wall with a stagnant Google Ads account that's just not scaling, or maybe you've got tons of wasted spend but you don't know where, get in touch with the link below this video and we'll see if my team and I can help sort you out. Next up, build out search non-brand. So many e-commerce advertisers miss out on this. They hear that Google is all about shopping and then that's all they do. Most e-commerce brands where I audit their account aren't even doing search non-brand, and that's a huge missed opportunity. Like for my clients at Big Flare, we build out search non-brands for all of them, and then I'd say typically we get about a 70-30 split between shopping and search, meaning that if you're making 100k revenue, about 70k of that is coming from shopping, 30k of that is coming from search. And then if you don't do any search non-brand, if you don't do any search on top of your shopping, you just miss out on that 30. You would just be doing 70k revenue, whereas if you added search non-brand and added search campaigns, you would make an extra 30k on top. It's incremental revenue that you're not getting if you're only doing shopping, right? Generally speaking, when we build out search non-brand campaigns or build out full search campaigns, brand and non-brand, what we see is a ROAS that's about 100 to 200% higher, blended ROAS, that's about 100 to 200% higher than in shopping. So if shopping's getting like 400% ROAS, we build out the search campaigns and it gets smaller volume, but we typically see it's going to get a 500 or a 600% ROAS. So it's profitable volume when you do this properly. And if you're not doing it, you're like missing out on maybe 30% of revenue from Google Ads that you could be getting. So how to do it? Just quickly speaking, use the search terms from your Performance Max or shopping campaign. Go into the search terms report, dig out the high performing search terms, the things that have converted, the things that are getting good CTR, the things that are getting lots of impressions and clicks, and start there. as a place to start bidding on search non-brand. Use those keywords as your starter keywords in a search non-brand campaign. Expand on those keywords with Keyword Planner. So take the best keywords, put them into Google's Keyword Planner, do some keyword research and find more relevant, good quality looking keywords that you can advertise as well, and expand on your initial list. Make sure you have single themed ad groups. So don't lump all your keywords into one big ad group, but at the same time, don't just do one ad group per keyword. The best compromise these days is in between single themed ad groups. So every ad group, it can have a bunch of keywords in there. You can have 10, 20, 30 keywords in one ad group, as long as it's all the same theme. And then you want to write ad copy that speaks to that specific theme. And then the other big tripping point that a lot of people fall on is you need at least like a 3-month testing budget. It's usually not going to be profitable in month 1. It might take 1 or 2 months of testing before you get to profitability, and then the 3rd month is when you can start to scale it. But if you go into search non-brands thinking I have to be profitable in a week or a day or a month, then it's probably not going to work for you, and you need to have budget and patience for testing. Okay, next up. Dominate your own brand in search. So don't just do search non-brand, do brand bidding, right? And not just because it protects your brand. It does protect your brand from competitors, but that's not the main reason to do it, in my opinion. The main reason to do it is because when you do it and do it right, you get more sales. It's that simple, right? A lot of people think, oh, I don't need to do brand PPC because I'm getting all that traffic anyway, because people will click on my organic brand ranking. But the fact of the matter is that the average brand click-through rate for SEO, for organic rankings, for branded searches, is actually about 30 to 50%. So that means half or more of people who search for your brand are not clicking on your organic brand listing. And then that is why Google Ads brand bidding is useful, because it helps you capture that missing 50 to 70% of people who are not clicking on your organic brand listing. A good threshold to use, like, do bid on brand, but use the right targets and use the right thresholds. Generally speaking, for brand search campaigns, I look for above 1000% ROAS, right? Let's say like 50% of the people who are clicking on your branded search ads in Google Ads, let's say 50% of them were actually going to click anyway, right? Which means it was only 50% incremental traffic on your brand PPC. That's why you aim for a 1000% ROAS, because if it's only 50% incremental, then you're still getting a 500% ROAS like in incremental traffic and sales when you make sure your branded campaign has above 1000% ROAS. So as long as you've got above 1000% ROAS in your branded search campaigns, I do recommend you just maximize your spend and impression share on your branded search. Number 8 on my list, guys, is to constantly monitor your search terms. So Google and your Google advertising campaign is constantly generating search term data, which you can find in the reports within Google Ads, and you want to be reviewing this at least weekly. If you're not reviewing it at all recently or currently in your campaign, you're going to get a lot of value out of just starting to have a weekly process where you go into the search term report and you see what you can find. You rank it by descending order of cost or clicks. Look for good keywords. When you see a keyword that's good, it's relevant, it's getting conversions, but you're not specifically targeting that keyword right now, then you want to add that keyword to your search campaigns. And then you also want to consider adding that keyword to your product titles in shopping. And if you keep up this process over time, you're going to get more traffic and better ROAS from your top performing keywords. At the same time, you want to look out for bad keywords, things that are just totally wacky and irrelevant to your business. And when you find those, you want to add them as negative keywords. But be careful here, guys. Be really careful, because intuition is often wrong. You think might look like a bad keyword, often they actually work, right? So you need to wait for sufficient data and you need to test your assumptions. Like, for example, I once had a client that was selling Microsoft Office products, and they resold Microsoft Office, right? And we saw lots of keywords in the search term data where people were searching for download Microsoft Office free. And the client was adamant that we had to block these keywords, but we actually said, no, wait, let's see what the data says. And the data said that people searching for free actually performed really well. We actually ended up getting like a 300% return on ad spend from those guys. And it just goes to show that like intuition is often wrong and search journeys are really complex. Like someone searching for Microsoft Office free right now doesn't mean that they're going to end their journey on getting a free product. They might just be researching, they might be looking for the free options, and then they'll eventually figure out, oh, the free options all suck, they're all scammy, I'm just going to buy it, right? And that's why it's so important to test your assumptions and wait for sufficient data. If you see some search terms in your search term report and it looks kind of bad, you think it looks irrelevant, but it's got like really low clicks and really low spend and really low impressions right now, and you're not 100% sure that this is a bad keyword that you want to block, then just wait. Like, let it accrue data and always wait for more spend and data to come in for any keywords where you're not sure, right? Because intuition can often be wrong. All right, number 9 on my list is to be optimizing your ad creative regularly. You want to check your text ad creative, your PMAX assets, your retargeting images, all of your creative assets in the campaign. You want to be checking that, once again, minimum weekly. Put a recurring task in your list, or like set a reminder, whatever it is that helps you remember to do this. Once a week, go through all your ad creatives, look for losers, look for winners. When you see losers, like low performing text ads assets, or low performing headlines, or low performing image assets in your performance max, replace. Just replace it straight away if performance looks like it's not performing and it's pretty low. At the same time, if you see high performers, learn and iterate, right? Like do more like that. If you see a particular headline or image that's working really, really well, and then you've just cancelled out a loser that you now need to replace, then learn and iterate from your winners. Take those winners and sort of iterate on them and look at what was working there and try and do more stuff like that so you can get even stronger winners later down the line. And last up, when and how to scale campaigns. Okay, so you need to know when and how to scale your campaigns, and in order to do this, you need to understand your impression share columns, right? Like, so pull up your search impression share column, and then pull up your search lost IS due to rank column and your search lost IS due to budget column. Now, I do have a deep dive video linked down below in the description that really shows you how to understand impression shares and how to scale campaigns properly. But basically what you need to do here is just make sure you understand impression shares. Make sure you have the 3 impression share columns showing on Google Ads. Again, that's search impression share, search lost IS brackets budget, search lost IS brackets rank. You want to understand those 3 columns and use those columns. Look at those columns when deciding how to scale. Like sometimes increasing your daily budget is very profitable. All you need to do is whack on more budget and the campaign is going to generate more profit for you. And sometimes decreasing your target ROAS is very profitable. Like just dropping the target ROAS by 50% is going to net you a lot of extra profit. At the same time, sometimes both of those moves are wrong and will take away profit from you. The difference, the way to know the difference is to know how impression shares work. And as I say, deep dive video in that linked below this video. There you have it, my top 10 things for you to implement to boost your Google Ads ROAS. Now, if you want a more tactical look at how I implement these strategies in a real client account that's getting 700% return on ad spend, then check out this video up here. In that video, I dive into one of my client accounts and show you exactly how the strategy looks that gets us over 700% return on ad spend in that particular client account. I think you'll love it. I hope to see you on the next one.